Well, there we have it, guys. Scotland taking this one comfortably. Shall we put it that way? I mean, I really enjoyed watching the Ireland-France game as a neutral, but as a Wales supporter, tough a watch. Tough a watch, this one. 35 points to 7, a home record-winning victory over Wales for Scotland. Bit of a hot take for this one, I'd say, considering that scoreline. I actually think Scotland was slightly less clinical than we saw them against England last week. But when the opposition is Wales in this game, opening the door, you'll end up with a scoreboard like that. So as we do in these review videos, we'll take a look at the stats, the scores, the highlights, and some thoughts on the game as it was going on. If you enjoy this style of content, make sure to drop this video a like, comment down in the comment section your thoughts on the game, and subscribe to the channel because there is a bunch of Six Nations videos coming up on the channel. Starting out then with the first half. We ended at half-time 13 points to 7. It looks a little bit more even on the scoreboard, and both teams had turns being in charge. Wales actually had more visits by the end of the half into the Scotland 22, but were down on that scoreboard. Scotland were actually the ones who got off to a really good start due to the pace of Hugh Jones, that Hughie Pelotu centre partnership we spoke about in the preview video, working yet again in this game. Little pop pass off to Hugh Jones, just sees him run all the way down to the field, pinning Wales back in their own 22. And Wales, as has been a bit of a theme recently, as soon as they're on that scramble defence, immediate penalty given away. Scotland waste no time. Scotland have become much better in the last few years at just sort of understanding what it takes to win a game. 3 points enough, just take it. You know, you don't need to push it too far. They took that early 3-0 lead and then doubled down again 10 minutes later with Wales giving yet another penalty in an easy kicking position, going straight off the feet in a jackal. This one a bit more harsh. I feel like the referee's slightly off centre, but penalty given again, and Scotland go 6-0 in the first 15 minutes. The set piece looking a bit shaky for both teams in this game. Wales's line out really not good, considering Ken Owens is back in this team. Is such a good player in terms of the line out. It looked a little bit wobbly today. The Scottish scrum we saw in the first 5 minutes have a free kick given away. Wasn't necessarily how they would have wanted to go. They've both got some tough games coming up next week. They'll want to try and fix that set piece issues on both sides before they get next round. Wales did have a nice little flourish for about 15 minutes, between sort of 15 and 30 minutes. They went on the attack. They had some nice counter-attacking. They were trying to pin Scotland back into that 22. We saw a couple of occasions where they probably could have gone for points themselves. Penalties were going the way of Scotland as well, but they kept trying to go for this kicking to corner. Scotland defence in this game looking pretty good, to be fair. The amount of missed tackles by the end is really good for them, but defence on their own 5 metre line in this game, very impressive for them. We saw Wales with a 5 metre maul. Scotland managed to get a turnover in the 5 metre maul. We saw Duhan van der Merwe getting pinned back over his own try line, but giving Wales a scrum, and Scotland managed to escape through Wales being offside in a penalty, and they gave another penalty away a little bit later towards that 24th minute, which Biggar actually missed. So as we get towards that halfway line, Wales actually got into the Scotland 22 five times in the opening 25 minutes, and haven't scored any points. And they definitely had the opportunity to. And a game like this is not one you can just sort of run over with tries and take it, you know, from the offset. You've got to build on that scoreboard, and it wasn't really looking for the best for them. The first try of the game came in the 30th minute from George Turner. This off the back of a Scottish maul. You know, the maul today was a really big weapon for both sides, to be fair. It looked like both teams sort of struggled to deal with each other's mauls, but looked good when they had the maul, which was a bit of an odd one. But a big driving maul, and George Turner went over the line. We did go back on the TMO and check that one, and George Turner did get that one down. Agree with that. Converted by Finn Russell. So half-hour mark. 13 points to 0 to Scotland, and as a Wales supporter there, I was beginning to think I can already see where this game is heading, unfortunately. Just after scoring his try, then we got the yellow card against George Turner. This one for a high tackle on George North with a swinging arm. This is one of those ones I'm not a fan of, because similarly to Wales-Ireland last week, where we had Sexton standing up and it sort of got caught in the head, I really feel like there needs to be a further rule around where is the attacker positioned. I feel like the attacker was already very low. He was already sort of hunched over. Turner came in, already bent down as well. The swinging arm caught him on the chin, which is what I feel like the yellow card was more for, but I'm not really a big fan of this. He caught him high while they're both down at like hip height. I kind of wish it wasn't going that way, but that is the way rugby seems to be heading. So yellow card went against him. I'm glad it wasn't a red. I feel like that could have really ruined the game. Would have had shades of last year's game between Wales and Scotland. But something did come from this. North not getting taken straight off the field. It looked like he went limp immediately after being caught on the chin, but didn't get taken off straight away for HIA. I feel like if you're giving a yellow card because you hit someone high, because it's dangerous and concussion protocols, get the person off immediately. They played a whole 3 phases afterwards. They did a crossfield kick, didn't lead to anything, and they pulled it back, and then the medics pulled him off. But I feel if you go limp and there's a yellow card, it should be an automatic HIA to go off. And then he did actually come back on later in the game, which really astonished me. I feel like if he looked like he got knocked out. I'm really surprised he was allowed back onto the field. But Wales from this point, though, did make the most of that yellow card, getting themselves a try. Ken Owens getting over on their driving maul. So both teams in the driving maul doing pretty well. Scotland then on 13, Wales successfully converting that one over to get to 7 points, which is where we see that final half-time score. Wales did have one very big final chance. They used Cuthbert to go up through the middle, took it all the way to the 5-metre line. A beautiful out the back door pass from Bigger, got out to Rio Dyer, and somehow the ball just slipped through his hands and it bobbled out into touch. An absolute try-scoring opportunity going begging. So he went in at half-time with that 13-7 scoreline. I think Rio Dyer had a few words from a couple of players throughout this game for both attack and defence. To be honest, certain areas not necessarily going the best for him. He'll look to improve before next week. In terms of some halftime notes then, I just said Wales consistently getting into the Scotland 22, doing the hard work, but just not converting it into the points when it comes. We saw it in the Ireland-France game, sometimes taking a drop goal. Just keep taking those threes. Get a couple of drop goals on this scoreboard. You're going in at half-time level. Scotland looking good with the ball in hand, but not really giving it out to Duhan van der Merwe or Kyle Steyn in a lot of room at this half-time marker. Really going through the forwards, not giving them a lot of room to actually let loose. We saw what Duhan van der Merwe did against England last week. Kind of wanted to see that come back in this game. And then finally, that neither team's set piece was particularly going too well for them. Half-time stats, possession 41% to Scotland, 59% to Wales. So Wales having hands on the ball, but just not making the most of it, along with the territory. 30% territory Scotland, 70% to Wales. I don't think I've actually read a stat like that for a while to say there's a 70% territory gain and you go in at half-time down. And the stat that shows is a little bit more reflectively, number of entries into the 22. Scotland, 2. Wales, 7. 2 compared to 7, and they've come away with 2 penalties and a try, and you've come away with a single try. Points per entry, Scotland are on 5, Wales are on 1 at the half-time marker, and you just can't be winning games like that. It's as simple as that one. On to the second half then, where the waterfall of tries really sort of starts getting going for Scotland. Wales had a bit of a poor line out right at the start of this second half, and Scotland had a breakout through the speedy legs of Blair Kinghorn, who came on quite early in this game for Stuart Hogg, going out with his HIA. But at this point, George North has come back from his, which I found quite peculiar. They managed to break away, and Finn Russell got a beautiful 50-22 kick all the way into Wales's 22, giving them a net gain of 90 metres from Wales's own line-out in the Scottish half, which is, you just don't want to be seeing stats sort of like this. And in the second half, we really got to see those breakaways happening a bit more, spraying out down the wings and just finding that room. There was another one only a few minutes later. Van der Merwe got his big breakaway down that wing, giving Scotland a huge advantage. Again, Wales go on the sporadic defence, give away a penalty, as we've seen a couple of times now in this game. Scotland kicked to the corner, went for the driving maul, gave away another new penalty. Wales trying to deal with that maul relatively well. Scotland go up the blind side though and gets a lovely little backdoor pass from Finn Russell out to Kyle Steyn, scoring his first try of 2 of the game in the 52nd minute. Was misconverted by Russell, but at that point Scotland are at a 20-7 lead. And the attack just keeps coming. The next 10 minutes is all just Scotland as well, just putting massive pressure on Wales, getting pinned back, Wales having to resort to penalties just to try and stop Scotland from scoring, one of which eventually does lead to Liam Williams' yellow card. Not that he did anything mega wrong, it was just numerous penalties. Next one going, Liam Williams going straight off his feet in the ruck, giving him his yellow card, putting Wales down to a 14-man team. Scotland went for the scrum, they played it out wide, and they went for a crossfield kick. Man down in that defensive line, why not? Gets a good catch by Kyle Steyn to go over for his second. Also missed by Russell in terms of the conversion. Kicking from Finn Russell, not the best towards post today necessarily, but kicking from hand has been extremely good in this one. Scotland 25, Wales 7. We had to wait until about the 65th minute for Wales to actually feel like they were having some get-go, actually going on the attack, making big ground, using the forwards, carrying up to the line, but the Scottish defence just holding out, managing to stop 14 phases of attack on their own try line. Superb from them. And then Wales's conduct just sort of going out the window. 4 mistakes in a row from Wales, just scrappy little things. We saw Wales dropping the ball. Rhys Carey, after getting through the line, dropped the ball after he'd basically already got over for a try. Quite a poor line out. There was a turnover and a maul. We had a scrum penalty. Just Wales just not getting the basics right, and unfortunately Scotland are performing at such a high standard at the minute. You just can't really afford to be doing it against a team like that. The penultimate try of the game coming in for Blair Kinghorn in that 70th minute. Scotland just carving Wales open by the end of this game. They just didn't know how to deal with it. Went for a little chip over the top, out to Duhan van der Merwe, offloaded back inside to Kinghorn. It was a bit of an easy walkover for him. So Scotland also getting the bonus point try in this game, which I didn't really expect to happen. I thought this one might be a little bit closer in terms of the scoreboard, but Scotland having such a good game in this one. Wales did get over the try line in the 73rd minute from Rhys Carey again, but held up very well by Matt Fagerson, managing to stop that try going over, who then later went on to score his own try just before the end of the game. Wales defending them all really well on that 5-metre line. Scotland spread one way. The Wales defence moves with them. They passed it back over the top, and Fagerson scored it in the corner himself. Was meant to be the final action of the game. Wales tried to make the most of it right at the end of the game, but Rhys Webb had come on at this point, gave away a penalty right on the Scotland 5-metre line, which I thought meant the end of the game. They did take a quick tap and go, and ran down the field, who got tackled very soon. The camera was sort of not really on them, and the ref did give a yellow card for not letting him run the 10 metres. I don't know who the yellow card was given to. They didn't mention it on the commentary. They didn't show it in any of the stats. So I don't know who got the yellow card. Not that it mattered particularly after Scotland just kicked out straight away afterwards, as is. Man of the match went to Finn Russell in this one, who, you know, I think he was sort of showing off in this game that he was sort of laid back, relaxed, enjoying his rugby, and that's where Finn Russell's the most dangerous. You know, once he just feels like he can do whatever he fancies getting up to a game, that's where you see him having a really good one. In terms of final notes then, I just said Scotland brilliant in the second half. The second half was sort of what I expected to see for the most of the game, but Wales managed to hold on in that first half. And then finally, Wales just not gelling together. The set piece is struggling. Maul was looking good for them, actually going forward through the mauls, but just disjointed. Players not knowing passes were coming, not really supporting each other, leaving men isolated. The team itself is just struggling a minute over here in Wales. In terms of the final stats then, Scotland 51% possession, Wales 49%. Territory 38 to Scotland, 62 to Wales. So that territory dropping down, but still massively in favour of Wales. But just, you know, not scoring anything in that second half is really not what you want to be seeing. Number of dominant tackles, 10 versus 6. So Scotland on the defensive also making more of an impact. And number of missed tackles, Scotland 9, Wales 28. So 3 times the amount of missed tackles. It's just not something you can be doing against this team, as Scotland is playing so well at the minute. So Scotland go on with the bonus point from this one. Tough game after the week's break, going up against France, which I look forward to seeing that. Well, one of the areas that I think Scotland will want to look at is the only ways Wales were making ground of this one was going through the forwards and one-off runners. They actually seem to be making ground, and watching what France have been doing recently, there's a number of big ball carriers, and France are enjoying going through some one-off runners and getting offloads to put you under pressure. That's something I think Scotland will want to look at going into next week. In terms of Wales, they'll go on to play England. We'll have to see how England do against Italy to sort of get ready for those teams. Wales have got a lot of things to fix. I sort of said that one at the end of the Wales-Ireland game, thinking it was just Ireland played really well. It's beginning to show now Wales necessarily getting things wrong and just things aren't working. So some shift-ups needed. At least they have the week break to try and recover. But congratulations to Scotland for winning this one. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave it a like and make sure you are subscribed to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they come out. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.